What is up, everybody? It is Og here, back with another video, and in today's video we're talking about the Alliance AOE leveling from level 32 to 36. You can technically go up until level 38 here if you really want to, or you could potentially even go to 40, but I would probably recommend leaving it around 36, maybe 37 at the latest, just because that's when the mobs are going to get green to you and you're not going to get as much experience. If, for whatever reason, though, you want to stay here till 40 and stay here till ZF, you definitely can as well. This is the Arathi Highlands farm. And so if you guys watched the world record video or the world record live when it was going on, you would have seen this spot. I went here at level 32 and I stayed here until level 37. Now this spot is fantastic because, as you can see just from face value, there's a ton of mobs and they're broken out into different groups, which makes it a little bit easier to take them down. You do, however, at level 32 have to be cognizant of one thing, and that's that most of these perimeter mobs, the Hammerfall grunts, are level 35. Within the actual farms, within the two kind of penned in areas, you're looking at level 33s to 34s. So at level 32, none of those mobs are going to be orange to you. However, even with elemental precision on a level 35, you do have a chance to get resisted. I believe it's 11%. So if you have a chance to get resisted by those mobs, you could have an issue with Frost Nova. Fortunately, though, there are some easy escape routes. So the escape routes are up this hill, out that way, or out the front. This is a pretty open area out here around the front. There's not a mob within, 100 yards, so it's pretty easy to get away. One other thing I want to note before we get started with actually showing the pools is over on the left-hand side here. So over on the left, we have this little hut, and it has an apothecary guy inside. But every 6 minutes, there's going to be a group of mobs that spawn right here, a group of Unforsaken. There's about 6 of them, so it's going to be an amazing group that's already stacked up just for you to go in, Nova, AOE farm. What you want to do, though, is you want to activate them before you start your run. So you want to try to catch them on this path. They walk out of here and up this path and follow it, as far as I know, all the way to this wall. I haven't been able to find them on this path before the video, though, to show you, so hopefully you guys can find them, and if not, hopefully they show up while you're actually farming. When I was farming, they showed up about an hour in, and so then I was just able to add them into the loop. All right, so let's get started with the pools. I like to come in from the north side over here. There's no mobs up this way, so it's a pretty easy spot just to, come in from where you don't need to worry about any of the pats or anything like that. There is a pat that walks around to the outside of this perimeter and walks down. You can see him right here. And there's also a pat that walks across the middle. You can see him with the X. So you need to be cognizant of where these two mobs are. Again, if you're level 32, these mobs are going to be orange to you, so they could potentially resist you. As long as you watch out for these guys, you can watch them go down here and then come back. So you know that, for example, right now, since he's back in this area, we can kill him. We can kill the mobs up in the corner, right? And so as long as we're killing the mobs away from this guy, we should be good to go. You won't have mount, so if we get off the mount and we throw on Mana Shield, what I would recommend you do is you try to pull a counter spell on the back far mobs, use Arcane Explosions or Fire Blast. Most of you will just melee pull. Grab these guys, group up in the middle over here, and then block on the side. I recommend blocking as much as you can with these pools just because you do have a lot of mobs and you will take some damage. Come out of the block with a Cancel Aura and then a Nova, run away to the other side, and then rank 1 Blizzard. Constantly be moving your camera around just to watch out for people. The mobs will not avoid your slow. I'm fire spec right now. The mobs will not avoid your slow as long as you're doing that. So you should be able to easily control them with Blizzard. At this point, you probably know how to Blizzard farm just from the past few levels. So you should be good to go. But that's the first pool. It's very important, to be honest, to get all the mobs in the farm. If you miss one of the mobs, I would honestly recommend just killing them right away. I would recommend not trying to, just wait for the next round of mobs. You can if you want. But honestly, you want all the mobs in each farm location to be on the same timer. The res timer is about 5 minutes-ish, maybe 6 to 7. It's somewhere in that 5 to 7 range. And so they'll be up in about 7 minutes. Make sure you loot all the mobs as well. So that's pool number 1. Pool number 2, I would recommend probably just taking out this grunt so he's not in the way anymore. You could try to do the pool without taking him out, but he follows this path pretty tightly, and so it's a lot easier if you just take him out very quickly and then work on the group after that. Same kind of idea here. I'd recommend, you have the range pools, pull a couple mobs, go into the other mobs. At this point, I would probably blink to the other side. It's going to cost you a little bit more mana, but it'll save you a lot of hits. Stack them up in the corner. You can cold snap block if you want to, but get that Nova and then go to the other side. Since we just killed that Pat that's walking around the middle, we know that this entire middle area is safe, so we should be good to go. One thing to watch out for is this scarecrow right here. This scarecrow will cause line of sight issues, and so make sure that if you're blizzarding around that scarecrow that you're not right on top of it, or else you could have some issues. But standard kind of blizzard killing strategy, take out that group. Now you have these two big areas taken care of, and so you can leverage them as main positions for your AoEing. So whether it's the mobs that spawn right in front of here, or whether it's the mobs on the outside, you can group them up, bring them into this middle of this farm, and then AoE down the farm. So what I would do, for example, is pull this guy as he runs away. So you'll probably pull this guy from a little bit closer just in case he does that. Run over, pull these guys. At this point, I would probably blink down this straightaway. Maybe try to grab this last guy. We'd face pull this guy, but I'll fire blast him. Group them all up. They all get to you at about the same time. So we get the Nova, and then we have plenty of room in this farm again. Similarly to this farm, there is a couple stragglers left. You can also go into the barns. Inside the barns, there's going to be an additional 2 to 3 mobs inside each of the barns. So you could go into the barn itself, grab those mobs, bring them out in this open area, and farm them. Overall, you're killing a ton of mobs, and you're looking at probably about an hour and a half a level in this area, maybe as fast as close to an hour a level, even through these higher levels, because you're killing a lot of these mobs at once. If you can, I recommend having as much intellect stamina gear as possible, and maybe having some healing potions or mana potions, because you could get into situations, especially with Blink, where you do run out of mana and could run into some issues. After you have those down, you do have some mobs in the outskirts here. If you try to drag the mobs from this barn all the way over to the outskirts, you probably won't be able to make it. So I wouldn't try to recommend doing that, but what you can do is grab these 5 right here. And then when the group of 6 spawns by the apothecary, you can see that they evade right there. That is when you can grab these guys plus these outskirt mobs as well. This farm is going to be your best option. If this farm is unavailable, you can try to stay over in Duskwood for a little bit longer. Obviously, the Dark Runners are level 29, and the Vile Fangs can go up to level 31. So you can stay there, honestly, until about 34. At that point, I would probably recommend going to your Stranglethorn Vale, or going over to maybe Duskwallow Marsh. So if you go over to Duskwallow Marsh, you can, in theory, start working on some like raptors and just some mobs in the open here. This is going to be a much better place if you can have it. You can also do quests. There are some good quests in Arathi Highlands, using Refuge Point, using Witherbark Village and things like that. But preferably, you'll get down this location. So this is going to be an amazing spot to level up. Stay here until 36, or maybe as late as 40 if you really wanted to stay here. I'd recommend probably leaving, though, at 36. I personally left at 37 when doing the world record attempt because I had never actually tried the next spot yet. And so the next spot we're going to be going to is Duskwallow Marsh. Let's talk about talents a little bit. So if we go into the talent tree, I will have to make brand new ones here. So coming over here, we are level 32. So this is how our talents should be filled out. By this point, we went down to Ice Block, and then we filled out the rest of Piercing Ice. At this point, again, it's completely up to you guys. If you want to get Frostbolt, you can. I probably wouldn't go Frostbolt, to be honest, though, because if you're slowing down mobs, they might not stack up appropriately. And so either Ice Shards, Cone of Cold, or Shatter. Probably for this farm, I would honestly probably recommend Cone of Cold, just because there will be situations where you Nova Cone of Cold them, and then from there, maybe go Shatter up until you hit around 37, and then finish off Shatter up until you hit level 40, and you can get the Ice Barrier. Would probably be my recommendation.